Okay, so back then, I remember because it was like people felt very beholden to their IT guy, right? It didn't matter if that
Yeah.
person didn't call them back or spoke to them rudely. They just needed their IT problem fixed,
Yeah.
right? And so people just expected that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like I said, the bar was just so low. We joked for a while that our tagline was going to be Navikai, we suck less, because the bar was so low for customer service. Right. Again, there was good technology companies out there, but they were, I think, at least in our opinion, missing the boat.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
customer support. And so that's what we focused on, and that probably separated us a little bit in the marketplace. But our tech wasn't, any fancier or better. It was still, we just tried to hire really, really good people that could communicate with non-technical people, because that's who our customers were.
Absolutely.
Right? We weren't supporting technical people. We were supporting people like you and me that we don't care how or why it works. It just needs to work.
Absolutely. And so, how long did you have your business, and
Yeah.
and what got you to the point of wanting to sell your company?
Um,
Because it sounds like you built an amazing company.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. We ran Navikai for about 20 years, and we knew at some point that we would sell. We didn't have this defined exit strategy. I think the premise was, let's create a really fun organization, a cool professional organization, a place where we felt pretty proud to hang our hat.
Yeah.
And build a team, and we're in a perfect market for this type of thing, and grow our customers and just see what happens. But there wasn't this like master plan, right?
Right.
People always ask, well, what's your exit strategy? I'm like, we'll probably sell one day. I don't know to who,
Right.
And as the universe works sometimes, I met Steven from Entiva through a mutual client, and we just hit it off. We just became friends.
And Steven's the CEO of Entiva?
Yeah, CEO of Entiva. And, he wasn't looking to buy Navikai. We weren't looking to sell. So it happened very naturally and organically. We just hit it off. We started hanging out and chatting and sharing, war stories about running IT companies and successes. And through that process, we got to know each other's company, again, the natural way.
Mm-hmm.
Not staged, and there wasn't, it wasn't propped up because there was a deal in the
Right.
works. It was just naturally, I got to know him.
And what was important to you when you started talking to Steven about, what was important to you when considering selling your business? Because it seems like, from talking to you, getting to know you, Gavin, you really care about your clients, your employees,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes people are very concerned when they sell the business, they're going to lose that customer service, they're going to lose their staff, they're going to lose their clients.
Yeah. The cultural piece was big.
Yeah.
That you can't fake. So if there isn't cultural alignment, nothing else is going to work. Like eventually things will break. It's just not going to happen because people are not on the same page, they're going in a different direction. So that was important to me. And then, one thing I wanted to share is there's a lot of company owners that are really emotionally invested in their company. You've heard the term, well, that's my baby.
That's right.
And I think that's wrong.
Mm.
I don't think that's the best thing to do, because it clouds your judgment, it clouds your perception, and when you go to sell, it clouds your own valuation of your organization. So I think you almost have to separate the emotional attachment from your company. Now, you can feel proud, you can love what you do, you can absolutely embrace your team and your customers, but to be emotionally attached to something like that, I think can cause problems down the road. So fortunately for Sean and I, we had all those things and we were super proud of what we built, but we weren't really emotionally attached to it. So the idea of selling to a larger company, as long as the culture was there and they were going to treat our staff and our clients the same way that we did, that was it.
And how did you know? Because a lot of times, you meet with a CEO, they're very charismatic like Steven is.
Yeah.
Right? They tell you all the things you want to hear.
Yeah.
How did you know that this was going to remain intact, and has it remained for you since you've sold Navikai 2 years ago?
Probably because I got to know him as a person and we became friends for like 2 years. And I know that's not realistic for a lot of M&As out there. You know, you're kind of coming in cold and you're trying to get to know each other as fast as possible. I would say it's almost like when you're interviewing a senior level executive, before you make a decision, just spend some time with the person.
That's great advice.
Really spend some time, and I'm talking dinners and bottles and bottles and bottles of alcohol, right? And all of it just to hang out with the person and get to know them, because Antiva is a reflection of Steven,
That's
and
correct.
I was attracted to Steven. I'm like, this is a good guy.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you it's a good company if Steven's at the helm. And it's the relationship. Now,
Yeah.
of course, the money needs to work, and timing, of course, needs to work, but if you can spend time getting to know somebody, that really helps. It's just like a customer, you know?
Yeah, that's wonderful advice. I totally agree with you, because it's one of the biggest steps and changes in your life,
Yeah.
right? Especially when you've had something for as long as you have, over 20 years.
Right.
So what as you were talking, I was also thinking about now being part of Antiva. So you made this decision, you sold the company. A lot of owners are concerned about, well, what am I going to do next? Am I going to
Yeah.
like working at the company? Or I hear people say, gosh, I can't be an employee again. I've had my business for 20 plus years. I call the shots. I've been the leader.
Yep.
And now suddenly you have a boss.
Yeah.
How did you make peace with that and remain with Antiva for the last 2 years after your sale? And same
Yeah.
with Sean, your partner, right?
Yeah.
You're both here.
Fantastic question. Going back to vetting and the relationship piece and getting to know the CEO of the company that might acquire you, if you've done that properly, when you join the new team, there shouldn't be too many big surprises. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you've kind
yeah.
of already gotten to know the company.
And that's why I think it's so important to get to know
Yes.
the leadership team, the
Absolutely.
management.
Yeah.
They're looking to get to know your staff. You need to get to know theirs.
Both parties want the same thing.
That's right.
You know, but we inherently, like, for some reason, want to put hurdles up.
That's right.
And I don't really
Yes,
understand
and hold
that.
your cards tight to your
Yeah, it's
chest.
just like, come on, you know, we both want the same thing.
That's
Let's
right.
just figure out a way to make that
And
happen.
it's kind of like a little bit of a marriage, you know.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of bit of a marriage. It's a marriage with a business partner. It's a marriage, you know, when you know join a new team and have a bigger family. There's definitely adjustments in working for a large organization. Fortunately, Antiva is still pretty agile, right? And they can make quick decisions and make changes fast. Really big companies, maybe that's not the case. So I think that was a good sweet spot for us, because when you're small, like Navikai was, you can make decisions like that,
Right.
You're like, hey, we should do this, done. And Antiva's pretty close, even though they're a lot bigger than us. They're pretty agile, but there are some changes, little nuances that maybe you didn't expect. Nothing huge, but you have to be prepared, and I think you have to be flexible and
open,
appreciate that,
you
and
know?
open. And
Yeah.
just because they might be doing something different doesn't mean it's worse.
That's right. So speaking of worse or better,
Yeah.
what are some benefits of working for a larger company now? And because I know as a business owner like you, there were times where there was a lot of stress on me and my employees, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have anyone to go to.
Right.
So talk a little bit about that, and because you're giving up a little bit of the autonomy for now.
Yeah, exactly. I sleep a lot better at night. A lot.
Okay, good. Sleep is good.
Yeah, when you're a company owner, you own it all. You absorb it all. Every client issue, every staffing issue, not hitting sales numbers. And I know all those things happen with a larger company. And you're vested, right? You're invested in that
That's
too.
right.
So you still feel like you want to be successful for the new company. But there's a difference in being the one person responsible for it versus having an entire team that's responsible for it. So it's almost like you're dispersing or diffusing some of that load. And to know that you've got a team that kind of has your back, it does help you sleep at night.
And yesterday we were talking, you mentioned one aspect which I think is important to many small business owners today in the tech industry is security.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that change and what was your mindset before versus what is it now?
It was getting to the point, so this is maybe 5-6 years ago, and cyber became a buzzword.
Yeah.
Like, non-technical business owners were freaking out about cyber.
Mm-hmm.
And Navikai never really had a deep cyber stack for products. We just didn't. We did some security best practices, but not at the level that I think people assumed we were doing. And what happens is when you're an IT partner, the company, the CEO, assumes that you're covering all of their IT, everything.
That's right.
If it's technical, if it's
Of
plugged
course.
in,
You should be
It's
as
covered,
their IT
right?
provider.
yeah, absolutely, but that's not the reality.
That's right.
And we were getting a little nervous about that associated risk. If something bad happened to one of our customers from a security standpoint, and they thought that we were providing something that we even told them we weren't, we just didn't want to be in a situation like that. And with a larger company like Intiva, they've got a full security department. They go deeper in their stack
Right.
for security. And even though we don't provide all of it, there's a lot more there that
Yeah.
I think gives some assurance to the customers. So that
Absolutely.
helped.
That's very key.
Yeah.
And so, thank you. That's great because I know so many people are concerned about that. Just to kind of wrap up the conversation today, can you talk a little bit about what do you feel like you and Sean did really well during the sale of your company? And maybe what are some things that you might have done a little differently now knowing what you know today, if anything?
I have to think about that. Like, if we could go back and do the transaction differently, I don't know that I would have done anything differently. I think we asked enough questions. I think we had a pretty good idea of who our new family was going to be. What we didn't realize is that even though the changes were neutral, or in some cases better,
Mm-hmm.
our customers still saw those as changes. And not everybody likes change. And then add to the fact that here's this boutique small MSP, Navikai, and the perception could easily be, well, they just got gobbled up by a giant company that
Right.
isn't even in Colorado.
So how did you overcome that?
We're still overcoming it.
You're still overcoming
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Did you, kind of to the earlier point, a lot of MSP owners are afraid of losing their customers they've had for a long time.
Yeah.
Did Navikai lose customers as a result of this acquisition?
Not because of the acquisition, no. We had our
Right.
normal kind of client attrition,
Right.
but it wasn't directly related to the
That's great.
acquisition. Overall, nothing has changed to the point of anything being worse.
Yeah.
It's just, there's just been changes. And again, it's that kind of generalization or that stereotype that we all have of large companies being kind of
Yeah.
the evil empire. And even if nothing bad happens, but there's a change, you're gonna lean into, oh, well, it's different. Used to be different with Navikai.
Right.
Now it's like this.
I used to get to talk to Sean directly.
Right, exactly.
Now I have to talk
And
to
we're like,
Bob.
And we're like, yeah, but Bob's way cooler than Sean. Sorry, bad example. But the point is that I think people don't like change sometimes,
Yeah.
even if that change is minimal or
Right.
even for the better.
Yes.
So we're still wrestling with that because they were used to 20 years of a small boutique MSP. And
Yeah.
now we've just got a bigger family with equally amazing people, just more of them. But it's still different.
Absolutely. So I said that was the last question, but I have one more.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to open it up to you, Davin, as you're thinking about other CEOs that are considering exiting, selling their business for whatever reason that may be.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them if they're kind of like afraid to make that first step?
Yeah.
Right? They've been thinking about it, but they're scared. They just don't know what to do next. And what if I make a mistake? Right? What could be their first step? And what any advice maybe that you could give them that I didn't ask you about today?
Yeah, another really good question. circling back again to kind of relationships, I would say if an MSP is looking to sell, find out who some of the maybe larger providers are out there. Try to find out what their company is about. Like, try to dig in and get a sense of their culture. Reach out to some leadership within the company and just introduce yourself. Just say, hey, we're an MSP, we're smaller than you guys, we're in the same market or we're in a different market, and you look like a really cool company, and I just kind of wanted to find out how you do what you do, right? Just start there. Just start like with some reach outs. There isn't a recipe for it. I mean, you could find a broker, you could, there's other channels you could do, but to me, those are a little bit more transactional, and I think if you really want to do it right, put the time in, do it organically, do it naturally, just get to know some of these companies, and you'll learn a ton, right? You'll learn a ton about how you value your own company, you'll learn about their company, and if it's a good fit or not. And if it's not a good fit, move on.
Absolutely. All right, well, thank you. This was really informative. I'm so glad we were able to do this, because I think, there's just a lack of true education from other CEOs and leaders who have sold their companies. We hear a lot from PE firms, M&A firms, but I really wanted to start this process to talk to real people like you who have sold their business, to give everyone some advice and things to think about. So, awesome job. Thank you, Davin.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, wow, that was,